Good afternoon, everybody, or good evening, depending on where you're viewing from. My name's Stephen Apkon. I am thrilled to welcome you here to this live stream. I am a co-founder, along with Marcina Hale and Keaton Cristobal, of Reconsider. We are executive producers of a film, Fantastic Fungi, and producers of an album, which we're thrilled to be here talking to you about today, and especially to welcome a great friend, and somebody who I have an enormous admiration for, and that's Tim Cook from New Level. Hey, Tim.
Hey, Stephen. Nice to see you.
Likewise. How you doing?
Good. Really good. It's wonderful to talk with you about this awesome soundtrack and film. It's a good thing.
Yeah, well, we really appreciate the partnership in it and everything. When this idea of doing an album inspired by the mycelium and by the film came up, we weren't quite sure what that would mean. And I remember we had two really wonderful producers on the album as well. Amber Rubarth, who happens to be on the album as well, wonderful musician, and Parmita Pushman. And when Parmita came on board, we knew, what an amazing project this could be, and I just want to, credit her and honor her for knowing to bring you in.
Did you guys run out of people to talk to?
Oh, please! Are you kidding me? I have to say, I mean, when Tim and I first met, I think we began a conversation that just continues, and so much admiration for the work you do and for the heart you bring to all of the people that you work with, and really, Yaima is one of the special groups. I want to talk about them in a minute, but I really want to talk first for a second about this notion of music as medicine, because I think it's something that you probably resonate with, and your thoughts about that.
Yeah, I just think about the title, Reimagine, that you guys came up with. I think it's such a good one. Years ago, I got invited to go to DC to meet with a bunch of political leaders, and they were bringing in celebrities and musicians to kind of have a conversation with politics and culture. And so I brought one of my artists over, and so I met a bunch of chiefs of staff and senators and congressmen and so forth. And one of the chiefs of staff said to me that politics is downstream from culture. And by the time they're making policy decisions, the culture has already influenced everything. And I think oftentimes with projects like this that are so important, we get frustrated with political leaders, and we get frustrated that people are being put in prison for a mushroom. It's just insane stuff.
Yeah.
And so when I think about what I heard, I realized the importance of things like this soundtrack and things like this film, because these are the things at the tip of the arrow that will really make a difference. Yelling and screaming about what's happening in Washington is the wrong approach. We got to get this part right. We've really got to build our base. And when I think about the word reimagine that you guys came up with, I just think about a general reset, because there's been so much bad information, so much hysteria, so much silliness around this topic.
Yeah.
We can get people hooked on prescription medications for a lifetime, but we can't give them a compound that is produced naturally, and literally changes people's lives, oftentimes with one dosage and one appointment.
Non-toxic, non-addictive. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm coming at it, for me, I'm a business owner, and, I love science, and I'm coming at it purely from just what the research is saying, what the science is saying. This is not for me some kind of hippy dippy, like, oh, this is, this is like we have an opportunity to really change the world, and we have an opportunity to help so many people that have been left behind. And in the artist community, one thing I say to all the artists I've worked with for the past 27 years, and I just say it very bluntly because it's true and it's not a shameful or bad thing at all, but I think every artist I've ever worked with or met struggles with depression on some level.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of that has to do with just how they're wired and the creativity that's going on there. And they're able to think of the world differently than the rest of us. They're able to be very exposed and very vulnerable and open. And so I'm coming at this from that. And I think that my interest in this project was, first of all, when I saw the film, I was like, this is an unbelievably great movie. Like, this is not just like, hey, we're talking about this. And it's one of my issues with a lot of, yoga films or a lot of things that have been in this kind of space is they aren't good. They aren't competitive. So we've got this incredible film that you've been working on for a long time, along with Louis Schwartzberg, obviously. And then accompanying that is this extraordinary work of music that's inspired by this. And it's really, really good. And then you add to that the people you just mentioned, Parmita Pushman putting out an amazing executive and a brilliant woman. Amber's done a fantastic job. You and Marcina have just done, that's why I was like blown away with all you were doing. So talking about respect, I have a tremendous amount of respect for you and Marcina for what you're doing, because it's not easy what you're doing. You guys are really early on this. So when I think about Reimagine, I think it's time for us to hit the reset button, put all that nonsense aside, and get our grassroots efforts really together so that when we can have a real conversation about politics, we're ready to do it.
Yeah. I love how you integrate the head and the heart in the sense of the artists and the creatives really needing to envision, to reimagine what's possible, and to share that vision before the policy follows, but also, integrating the head and the science and seeing the results of this. We have in the past 20 years, we've had a 400% increase in prescriptions for SSRIs.
No kidding.
You can't drink the tap water in New York City without drinking Prozac because of the number of people that are taking it, and yet we know that the efficacy of these medicines, is not it's not happening, and so so it is time to reclaim this, and it is time to understand that these are therapies that are very efficacious, that are non-toxic, and we need to look at and the research is proving it, right? This is not just somebody suggesting a belief. This is hard research done in places like Hopkins and NYU and UCLA and other places, but also really important to recognize that, yes, the research is going on to prove something that we've known for thousands of years. Right? Because let's face it, the men in white coats are not the ones who are discovering these things right now. They're helping give them renewed credibility, I guess, from the thousands of years of indigenous cultures and use.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I've tried to do with people in my community that are more coming at it, or people that are still skeptical or sort of open to hearing about this. It's like, if you imagine hitting the reset button, put everything aside and just have this conversation based on the science and the research we know today. And when you do that, it is insane for us to continue on the path that we've gone on for so long. The idea of locking somebody up in prison, the idea of someone being a criminal for plucking a mushroom out of an old growth forest, it's so hard to understand. But I think one of the ways that we can get there is for people to say, in your quiet moments, just hit the reset button, forget all the nonsense, and just think about it and come to your own conclusion. But the research is there, and it's really exciting. And the artist communities throughout history have always been the ones that have led these charges forward. It's always been the artist community. Artists are the ones that take the risk. Artists are the ones that are most vulnerable. And they seem crazy. These things seem a little crazy at first. You look back in the days of Richard Alpert, then became Ram Dass. He looked like a lunatic back to a lot of people during that time. but I was the executive producer on that Ram Dass project.
Is that right?
Yeah, and what I discovered with that, I was like, it turns out this 80-some-year-old man was right the entire time,
Mm-hmm.
but had to go through so much hell and so much silliness. But I think we're getting over that, and I think our next big push is going to be things like you're doing with this soundtrack and things like this film. Because, I mean, listen, it's no small feat that this movie has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Right.
I mean, that is a huge accomplishment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Narrated by a major movie star.
Right.
And so educational in nature, but also just so fun to watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
I appreciate that. And what's interesting is that as we've traveled around pre-COVID, as we traveled around and now online, what you realize is that it touches this deep longing for people, that's right below the surface. And it has also, and it's allowed for the conversations to happen, people bringing their parents or their kids or their coworkers or other family members in to have these conversations, to actually do what you say, which is to quiet down, to hit the reset, and to really look at this thoughtfully. And also even into the hospitals and the medical profession.
Oh yeah.
So it is.
Steve, one thing that and maybe you guys are doing this and I'm not on the right page here, but I when I met you and Marcina and started hearing more about what you guys are doing, I was really, you and I had a very personal conversation one day, and it really touched my heart. And, what do you guys do on a week by week basis, and how can people help you guys in the work that you're doing? Because it's not just a cool soundtrack and a movie. You and Marcina are doing things that will extend way beyond these types of things. And I'm just curious, where are you guys at with your projects, and what's going on with your work with people?
First of all, yes, we did. And Marcina and I have we've really dedicated our lives to this, because what we really believe is that if you look at the suffering that's out there in the world, or what we're doing to the planet, the way we're treating each other in conflict areas, economic and racial inequality and all of that, we treat them like they're the disease. But what we've come to understand is they're not the disease, they're the symptoms of the disease. Disease is our disease. It's our disconnection from ourselves, from each other, from the natural world, and ultimately from life itself. If we saw ourselves as part of nature, not dominating nature, we'd have to make different decisions.
Oh yeah.
If we saw somebody else's suffering around the world as our suffering, it's not a cathartic experience of having sympathy for somebody, but it's actually understanding that it's our suffering, then you have to make different decisions.
Yeah.
So that's one of the most powerful things about this work and about these medicines, is the shift in consciousness.
Yeah.
So we're very intent on not only using media and art, but creating spaces for people to begin to explore this work and their connection to it, and that's really what we're dedicated to doing every day.
Yeah, no, it's awesome, and I think this soundtrack and this film are going to inspire a whole new generation of people to get involved in this, to realize how important it is and how silly it's been, the way we've treated this for way too long.
Yeah. And speaking of music, the wonderful Maz and Pepper.
Yeah.
Amazingly creative. I think it may have been one of the first songs and artists that came into the album.
Yeah.
And we heard the track, and it's phenomenal. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really spectacular. Can you share a little bit about them and your work with them, and how Mycelia came about?
Well, I'd have to let them speak to how Mycelium came about, but how I represented them and how I got to know them is just the same way I got to know you. Is I just was a fan of the work that they're doing. I love their music, but I love their interest in this subject, and I love their passion about it. And they're just they're a force of moving this forward in the world, and so I want to be a part of that. And so I signed them as a fan. Really, it was just being a fan of their work and what they're doing. And Maz and Pepper are two of the most beautiful people. You know, they're so dedicated to this on such a pure level. And what I love about it too is they're doing all this independently. There's no committee. So what you're seeing is, you know, Rick Rubin, the producer, he talks about shortening the distance between what an artist creates and what the audience hears. And oftentimes when we get a record, there's been so many people that have spoken into the project that it's a far cry from what the original intent or original emotion was. And so when you hear Mycelia by Yaima, it's literally them watching the film, responding to it, and going, here's what came out. Wow. And so I had the same reaction. You know, when I got the song, I was like, whew, this is just heavy and awesome. Yeah. You know, and so, you know, it's the same thing with the beautiful chorus track too for me. I thought it was so neat that they wrote from the perspective of being Mycelia, you know. And I thought that was really cool. And that's also what I thought was neat about the film is something that I was not fully aware of prior to watching the movie was the extraordinary network and how it all communicates and shares resources and things like that. And so I thought it was cool that, you know, these artists, that's what they do is they allow us to kind of have a different perspective and to go into it in a little bit different way. And but as far as Yaima, I can't say enough good about them as people, and as this is not just manager speak as, you know, selling my stuff. I have been doing this for a long time, and not everybody you work with is as special as they are. And so I was equally very blown away by what they've submitted.
Yeah, I have a feeling that the special people find their way to you too, because beautiful chorus. Those women are amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, another great song on the Fantastic Fungi Reimagine soundtrack. And
yeah, by the way, I say fungi, and then some people say it's fungi, and then some people. What is the right word, Steve?
So there is. You could say it either way.
Okay.
The pronunciation is actually, I think, technically fungi.
Oh.
But lots of people say fungi in different parts of Europe, fungi. And as Paul Stamets said the other day, we're all fungis and fungals.
Yeah, well, there you go.
But for people should check out on YouTube and the Facebook page. There's an amazing video out with beautiful chorus, and a spectacular, gorgeous one with Maz and Pepper with Yaima. It is one of the most beautiful videos you could see. It is not just music, it's image is medicine too. It's really spectacular. But as a special sort of addition to today and to the experience, their generosity extended in creating a very unique video for us to share a version of Mycelia with you. And maybe, Sean, if you could put that up, we'd love to share that and then come back. How's that? That's Mycelia by Yaima. Wow, that is something else.
Yeah, I never know what I'm going to get from those guys. It's
Just
like, oh, they're tree, cool.
you just got to climb a tree.
Yeah, but it's great.
Yeah, one of the things that's interesting is, as we spend time with more of the people in this field coming from, Hopkins and NYU and places, is how important music is to the therapeutic experience.
Oh yeah,
and Yaima's music just lends itself. It's quite spectacular.
well, I think that's one of the other things that's changing is that some of the music that was used initially in therapy was a bit cheesy,
Mm-hmm.
and there's artists like Yaima that are coming along that are bringing something that's just directly inspired by this work, and it's current and cool. And so to be able to use that in therapy is just awesome. I mean, listen, Yaima is the kind of thing that you put in the background and you just play it all day long.
Yeah.
When I first started consuming Yaima's music, I just made a playlist of all their albums and just played it all the time straight through. I never really listened to one or two songs, but yeah, it's good.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So we have, I want to mention to everybody, Thursday, December 10th at 5 p.m. We'll be back on a live stream with Vienna Tang and Amy Martin. She's the founder of the Threshold podcast, and we're looking forward to that. And we're really grateful to have here today with us Tim Cook, the CEO of New Level, and a wonderful partner on this album. And he's got some great musicians that he works with that are also featured. Beautiful chorus, Yaima, and just grateful for everything that you're doing, Tim, and anything that we should know about Yaima or Beautiful Chorus even going forward, and things that we should be looking out for.
I let the fans decide. They can figure out what they want to consume and how they want to consume it, but we'll keep putting out cool stuff.
Well, you do keep putting out cool stuff, and we really appreciate it. We really appreciate all you do in the world and who you are, and being a partner in all of this.
Well, likewise, Stephen. I just want everybody that's listening, the work that Stephen and Marcina and Amber and Parmita and Sean, who's connected us together. What a wonderful team of people. It's my honor to support you guys. And this is an incredible soundtrack and an incredible film. And I've been involved in a lot of big films, and this is one of the great ones. And I'm really happy to say that because I hate most things. And so this is a wonderful thing to support. And I'm so happy it's done well for you guys. And I know it's been a huge amount of work for a long period of time. So thank you for what you guys are doing. And I can't wait to continue to support it.
Thanks, Tim. It's been all worthwhile, and a big shout out to the people who did the work for the years. Louis Schwartzberg, who wonderful director of Fantastic Fungi, and to Paul Stamets, who has inspired so many people and has been living this. And you talk about, it brings us full circle almost to the beginning of the conversation, because you talk about the artists envisioning something before people can see it, and how challenging and how difficult that is. And that's true of artists that operate in different realms. And I think of Paul that way.
Oh yeah.
Because he saw the importance of the mushrooms. He's been an ambassador for the mycelial kingdom long before it's been in vogue, and he held that space for so many years. Virtually, it almost seemed alone at times. And I know that was challenging, and it's really wonderful to see people coming to him and to his story and it resonating with people, and so grateful for him as well, and all of the people who have touched this world and this project.
Yeah, listen, the work that has to be done right now is supporting you and Marcina and Parmita and Paul Stamets and Louis Schwartzberg and Amber. That's the important work that has to happen right now. Shouting at DC and all that stuff, that'll come later. Let's get our ducks in a row. Let's be intelligent about this. Let's present the facts. The research is on our side. And we're going to get there. We're going to get there in a big way. And this project is going to be a significant part of moving this thing forward. So let's stop being frustrated. Let's hit the reset button. Let's reimagine, and let's support the people that are doing the work on the ground right now. That's how we're gonna make it happen.
Great words from Tim Cook. Thanks, Tim. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Good to see you.
You too.
Okay. Cheers.
Take care.